So I think this is not necessarily a question, but I think a story, and I actually talked a little bit about it last week. And it goes back to the feeling of fairness. I'm like trying to get my head up over the question. So Michael says, I took my ex back to court to enforce physical placement. This semi backfired on me here in Wisconsin. I'm now able to see my child for a few hours on Saturday, which is better than nothing. They tried to force a hair follicle test on me, but not my ex. Long story short, I refused. I'm 100% clean, but I don't see that as fair. I'm issued 5-hour visits on the second and fourth weekends of the month. Judge told her she has to drive my son to these visits 3 hours south from where she lives. So one of the things that I always advise guys, so there are parts about the system that don't make any sense. There are parts about the system that are not fair. But putting it frankly, being an ass just to be an ass a lot of times backfires on you. Candidly, if you were my client and you said, I'm 100% clean, and the judge says, you're doing a hair follicle test, but I don't care about her, I would advise you, like, let's just do it. It may not feel fair. It may not make sense, but something's clicked in that judge's head. They've made some sort of allegation, and sometimes you just have to play their game. That's the unfortunate part about the system right now. So going in there and pounding your fist on counsel's table and telling them about the Constitution, a lot of times, almost all the time, is not the way to the best outcome in that moment. And I think that there is benefit to the movement of guys being willing to play the unfair game to maximize their time with children. So yeah, it's not fair. It doesn't make sense, anything, but being principled, how principled are we being, I guess, and I'm not directing this at any one person. If we know that decision is going to negatively impact the time we spend with our children, I think we have to weigh the kind of cost benefit of that and look at it in a way of, hey, they ordered this, I'm going to get it done. It's going to cost me a little bit of money. It's frustrating, it's annoying, but it's going to allow me in this instance to maximize the time with my children. And then I'll kind of follow up. Like, I went in pro se and I think I messed up. I think anybody who goes in pro se not knowing about the situation is, you're going to make mistakes. There are certain things that I can avoid, that I can help educate clients. I spend a great deal of time educating clients on how to communicate with their co-parent when they're combative, how to deal with CPS, how to deal with family court services here in California. And there are certain things, and I'm in front of the same judges over and over again, so there are certain things that I know how to deal with, and what probably the best course of action. In terms of, if we were here in the state of California, I would probably say you file another request for order. You go back in front of the judge. The judge says, oh, you refused a hair follicle test last time, and you offer to take it. Because in family court, and I'm not familiar with the laws in California or in Wisconsin, but in California family courts, pleading the fifth in regards to anything, essentially the family court judge can presume you're guilty. So that's probably the feeling or the answer you elicited from the judge. So, I mean, they may be willing to do something. They may be willing to do something moving forward. You may have to prove a certain burden to get back in front of them. But sometimes you got to play the unfair game to maximize the time with your child. So it may be going back in front, maybe going and getting that hair follicle test and going back in front of the judge right now. So you go in there proactively with a hair follicle test, and then if they say go get another one, you go get another one.